Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamstra He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kantan Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatade Shatarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Sure. Can anyone read? You are able to see the screen, right?
Can I read, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji.
This Krishna conscious movement is being from there, no, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji.
This Krishna conscious movement is being spread all over the world just to remedy this gross ignorance. People in general are misled by blind leaders. The leaders of human society, the politicians, the philosophers, and the scientists are blind because they are not Krishna conscious. According to Bhagavad Gita, because they are bereft of all factual knowledge due to their aesthetic way of life, they are actually sinful rascals and are the lowest among men. Namam Duskrutino Mudaha Prapatyante Naradamaha Maya Yaprataha Jnana Asuram Bhavam Astritaha. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, lowest among the mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the aesthetic nature of demon, do not surrender unto me. Bhagavad Gita 7.15. Thus, such people never surrender to Krishna, and they oppose the endeavor of those who wish to take the Krishna's shelter. When such aesthetics become leaders of society, the entire atmosphere is surcharged with nuisance. In such a condition, people do not become very enthusiastic to receive this Krishna consciousness movement. Just as a diseased person suffering from the jaundice does not relish the taste of the sugar candy. However, one must know that for jaundice, sugar candy is the only basic medicine. Similarly, in the present confused state of humanity, Krishna consciousness, uh, Krishna conscious, the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is the only remedy for the setting the world right. Although Krishna consciousness may not be very palatable for the deceased person, Srila Rupa Goswami nonetheless advises that if one wants to be cured of the material disease, he must take to it with great care and attention. One begins this treatment by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, because by chanting this holy name of the Lord, a person in a mental condition will be relieved from all misconceptions, Cheto Darpana Marjana, avidya, a misconception about one's spiritual identity, provides a foundation of the akankara or false ego within the heart. Shall I continue, Mataji?
Anyone else wants to read?
Read, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Anybody else wants to read?
Yes, I would like to.
Then-
But if
Okay,
anybody
then
else,
you carry on then. I'll do next one.
the real disease is in the heart. If mind is cleansed, however, if consciousness is cleansed, a person cannot be harmed by the material disease. To cleanse the mind, heart from all misconceptions, and should take to this chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. This is both easy and beneficial by chanting the holy name. Mataji, would you please scroll? Hare Krishna. By chanting the holy name of the Lord, one is immediately freed from the blazing fire of material existence. There are 3 stages in chanting the
No,
name of the
Mataji,
Lord.
we'll discuss this.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
So again, here it is mentioned about the ignorance part. So we are again back to square one, where here Srila Prabhupada is mentioning about the material way of living. So basically, every living being desires happiness over here, the top level of enjoyment in this material world. But still, everyone is unhappy over here. So this unhappiness is present even on the higher planets, despite having a longer lifespan or a higher standard of enjoyment and comfort. So we can increase the duration of life and stand it to the higher capacity, yet by the law of material nature, we will still be unhappy. And so basically, each of the one in this material world is just looking out for happiness. And what is their formula for happiness is to get money and sense gratification. So Prabhupada also gives in one context of sense gratification is like salt. So in one of the Bhagavatam verses, he mentions about sense gratification is like salt. Because if you take lot of salt in the food, it becomes salty and you cannot have the food. And when it becomes less salt, it does not taste good. So you need to have the proper amount of salt. So we cannot desire for more, and how much ever is required for the sustenance of this body, that much only we need to have it. So, and see, so we can understand this by more examples like A fish, when it is taken out of the water, it cannot be happy by any arrangement on the land. He must be supplied with the water. So in the same way, the living entity cannot be really happy through any amount of whatever planning conceived in through this to try to enjoy in this material world. So he must therefore be given a different type of happiness, which is spiritual in essence. So our ambition should be only aimed at enjoying spiritual bliss and not this temporary happiness. So, and here Prabhupada also mentions about hankering after material happiness. So what we mean by lust? So hankering after material happiness is called lust. And lusty activities are sure to meet with frustration. So if a body of a snake is very cool, and if a man wanting to enjoy this coolness garlands himself with this venomous snake, what will happen? He will surely be killed by the snake's venomous bite. So the material senses are compared here to the snakes. So whatever indulgence in material happiness will actually surely kill our spiritual identity. So a man should be ambitious only to find the real source of happiness. So what is this Krishna consciousness movement is doing through? It is actually helping to remedy this gross ignorance. So what is that ignorance which we read, which we discussed in the last two paragraphs? That people are not aware of being that they are the soul and not this body. So they need to come out of this avidya, the knowledge of. So, but here what is happening? The people are just led by blind leaders. So Prabhupada also gives an example of a foolish man, right, who had no experience with sugar cane, how sugar cane tastes. So when he is asked by his friend about the characteristics of the sugar cane, what he does? He tells that it resembles the shape of a bamboo stick. So he tries to find out he tries to go and find out sugar cane, but what he finds is a bamboo stick, and he tries to extract juice from those bamboo sticks. But what happens? He does not get the sweetness of the sugarcane juice. So similarly, in this material world, we are trying to find happiness and we don't find happiness. And what happens is we are just baffled by the attempts. What we mean by baffled here? Here Prabhupada is trying to tell us here that we are trying to become happy, but the material attempts, whatever we are trying today, we are baffled every way. So people are not able to understand their mistakes. So they are just struggling for existence in the material world. So the Krishna conscious movement is actually helping the world over here to come out of this ignorance. So actually in Bhagavad Gita also, it is clearly mentioned that what is this world is? This world is being full of miseries, like in shloka in chapter 8, in somewhere in 16 or 17th shloka, it comes as Abrahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravartino Arjuna Mam Upetya Kaunteya Punarjanmana Vidyate. So from the highest planet in the material world to any of the lowest planets, they are all places of misery. So why it is called a place of misery? Because there is birth and death repeatedly taking place. So if you want to attain peace and you don't want to come back to this material world, right? The real happiness is when one attains the abode of the Lord. So people are just befooled here by the practice of by simply struggling or trying to find happiness in this material world. And they are getting frustrated also when their efforts are not being uh, derived by the happiness. So here people are, what are they trying to do? What are this? Yeah, and here one more verse Prabhupada is giving from Bhagavad Gita. Yeah. Namam dushkritino mudaha prapatyante naradamaha maya aparata jnana asuram bhavam ashritaha. So there are 4 types of people here. And what are they? They are not able to understand. So the first category of people who are ignorant of God, that is, who are grossly foolish. So they don't know anything. They want happiness. So what is their funda? To do sense gratification and to acquire more and more money. So they are foolishly working hard, ignorant of God or the lordships. And the lowest among mankind, Naradamaha. So first one is Mudaha. So he is ignorant of God. And the lowest among mankind, he is again in the same category. He is among the human, he may be socially well, politically well, but again, he does not know anything about God. So he also comes into the category of people who don't surrender onto Krishna. And the third category of people who are little well knowledge in well knowledge of scriptures, but unfortunately they don't know how to utilize it. So they go in the wrong conception or into illusion, right? That of merging with the Lord, all those things. So they come under the third category of people. Maya aparatah jnana. And then the last category of people, that is asuram. So who are just against the and who are protesting against the laws of the Lord. So all these 4 type of people are what? They are not able to surrender onto the Lord, and they never take to Krishna's shelter. And so when we make such leaders, when such people, when whoever are coming under this category, 4 categories of people, when we make them leaders of the society, what happens? All of them, it is like misled by blind leaders. So if they are not Krishna conscious, then the whole society will be with avidya. So the entire atmosphere will be in that way. So here Prabhupada is mentioning that we need to provide Krishna conscious to all these people. But they don't understand the importance of Krishna conscious because they are still in that conditioned state. And here again, Prabhupada is mentioning that a person who is suffering from jaundice will not be able to relish the taste of sugar candy. And we see in the examples of Prahlad Maharaj also mentioning to his friends about the material world. You can see this verse. Anyone can recite this verse? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Next, read this side.
Yes, Mataji. Sudha Mataji.
Shri Prahalad Uvacha Matirna Krishne Parata Swato Va Nito Abhipadyeta Griha Vratanam Adanta Gopir Vishatam Tamishram Puna Punascharvita Charvananam. Translation by Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Prahlad Maharaj replied, because of their uncontrolled senses, persons too addicted to materialistic life make progress towards hellish conditions and repeatedly chew that which has already been chewed. Their inclinations towards Krishna are never aroused either by the instructions of others, by their own efforts, or by a combination of both.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. So here, this verse clearly indicates about all the materialistic people. They are only towards sense gratification, and they are so much addicted to materialistic life that they are doing what? Punas charvita charvanam. They are repeatedly achieving which is already been achieved. So they are just doing sense gratification and trying to enjoy the sense gratification and trying to come back in the cycle of birth and death again and again. And that is what here Prahlad Maharaj is telling, that repeatedly achieving. And the inclination, there is no tattva jnana, like tattva jignasya, like self-real, inquiring about self-realization or towards inclination towards Krishna is never aroused, nor anyone giving instructions or anyone preaching to them. So any efforts is not at all benefited or taken for benefit by persons who are so much addicted to materialistic concept of life. And here Prabhupada gives one more example of how there is a difference for Indians and the Westerners. So when Westerners, like the Indians, are just near the God, because at least they know who is Krishna, why we should be doing devotional practices. At least some basic knowledge is known, but how they are standing very close to Krishna, you can tell. Very close in the sense they are standing there near, very near to Krishna, but how they are standing? They are standing their back towards Krishna. And how they are moving? They are moving towards the materialistic world. So they are running away from Krishna, even though they are so closer to Krishna. Whereas the Westerners, how they are facing their face? Their face is towards Krishna, even though they are very far. They are attracted to the spirituality and they are frustrated. They already know that there is no happiness in the material world. They have understood this fact and they are trying to come closer to Krishna. Even though they are standing very far from Krishna, they are facing towards Krishna at least. Here, what are the Indians doing? They are getting attracted to the Western cultures, Western things, and they are just making their back towards Krishna. So Prabhupada is telling us, don't turn away from Krishna, but come towards Krishna. So this is what we can see in most of the situations. And why are they blind about Krishna conscious? So we know about we read about the struggle for material existence. So what we know about that? So there is something called as Pavarga and Apavarga. So what is Pavarga? So like Pavarga is in the sense there are actually 5 letter series. So like the full frame of Pa series, Pa, and Ma. So that explains about the the per varga actually explains about the struggles for the existence, and where there is like bondage in this material world. So each letter of this per varga, like what I mentioned about ha, fa, bha, bha, ma. So that are the 5 stages. So in the per, it is per represents parishrama. So we see in this material world, people do lot of hard work for getting money. So how the donkeys work, so they work hard like the donkeys. And pay her, like the bigger per. That is, for that we symbolize the word fena. Fena means the foam. So we see that people are working so hard and struggling in this material world. So we may see the foam coming out from the mouth of the donkey or the horse, struggling so much, right? So it is the same case with the materialistic people. So working very hard, so much that they are pushed out, and the fena comes from the mouth. And bha here represents bandhana. So we can see how much attachment, how much people are addicted to this materialistic things. So here in that, the bar representing the too much attachment to the materialistic life and the things. And then comes bha, which is representing bhaya. So fear, right? So we see so much of fear in people. Why there is fear? Because people are engrossed in accumulating lot of money. So when you have lot of money, what is the fear? The fear of theft happening. So we see theft alarms being provided, the dogs being put up outside the house, the security guards, right? So everywhere. So we see why all this is there, because of fear for one's life, or fear for one's own properties and other things. And then last is ma, so representing mrityu, death. So finally, what happens? We are working so hard, parishrama, then it is coming out in terms of home, right? Fena. There's so much of struggle for the material life and attachment. Then there is also fear. Fear of death is also there. Then mrityu, ma. So here this per varga is actually representing or signifying the struggle for this existence in this material world. And apavarga is which helps the soul to come out of all these material conditions and to take to devotional practices, or whichever practices which helps us to come out of this material cycle of birth and death. So unless a person takes to this inquiry about self-realization, it is not going to help them. So here also, unless Prahlad Maharaj is telling us, Matirna Krishna Pratah Swato Va. So is referred to devotional practices. So unless we think of Krishna or we take to the process of Krishna, we cannot come out of this cycle of material world. So what is the procedure we have to take for? What is the solution is given here? So now people are all suffering from jaundice. So they are into material illusion and they are into avidya. So how we can help them is by providing. A person who is suffering from jaundice need what? Sugar candy. So he even cannot relish at the moment. the sugar taste of sugar candy because he is suffering from jaundice. Similarly, people who are in avidya should be provided with what? What is the solution Prabhupada has given? The chanting of the holy name of the Lord. So that is the only solution, is the remedy for setting this word all right. And here Rupa Goswami is telling that it may providing Krishna conscious or chanting of the holy name of the Lord for this deceased person who are in avidya, it not be palatable, it may not be tasty for them at the moment. At the present, it will be bitter. But as he starts eating and chewing, then there is a taste of the sugar cane. So similarly here, so when one starts chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, then at a certain time, at a certain period of time, he will start feeling the happiness, feeling the bliss of practicing Krishna consciousness. So how it should be done? It should be done with great care and attention. Then only you will be blissful in Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, if you are not attentive while chanting or attentive while hearing also when you are chanting, then this material disease will not go off so soon. So Rupa Goswami is telling us that we need to do it with great care and attention. And so then we can get away from all this misconception. So what is avidya here? It is a misconception about one's own spiritual identity, right? So here we read that the real disease is in the heart. So how do we clean that, right? So where Prabhupada mentions Ridogram Apukshnoti, like the real disease is in the heart. So how do we cleanse it, right? So by chanting what happens? The mind gets cleansed and the consciousness is getting cleansed. How to clean the heart? So one we can do is by hearing, right? Hearing the fame of the Lord. So Shravanam and Kirtanam. Shravanam, like chanting of the holy name, and hearing of pastimes of the Lord. So where you can hear the pastimes of the Lord? Through Bhagavatam. So by reading Srimad Bhagavatam, which speaks about the fame of the Lord, right, we can actually cleansify our heart. So in this way, by chanting and by hearing Bhagavatam, the two things, mainly Shravanam and Kirtanam, when it is done, that is how we can clean the mind and heart. So this is the easiest process and which benefits most of the things. So by chanting, we are actually getting freed from the material existence, the blazing fire of the material existence. So that is how the process is by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. The marjanam happens. So the Cheto Darpana marjanam has to happen. So it has to be done with great care and attention. So we read about all this. Yeah. So that is what Prabhupada, Rupa Goswami is trying to tell us here, that the holy name, character, pastimes, and activities of Krishna are all transcendently sweet like sugarcane. So just by chanting these sweet names every day, a natural relish awakens within his tongue and his disease is gradually destroyed at the root. So we can understand that how just the holy name of the Lord. And we can understand now that how it is different, how it is non-different from Krishna. So the holy name, the quality, the pastimes, the activities of Krishna are all non-different from Krishna, and how it helps to get away from this avidya for us. So that's all about all these 3 paragraphs. So anything anyone wants to share or add up, or any questions here? So basically here we are back to square one to make us more and more understanding that we don't get attached and we don't get involved in any of the material things, and with great care and attention we may be practicing Krishna consciousness, but we need to more involved in it, right? We need to think more, or manana vital. We may hear a lot of pastimes, we may hear Srimad Bhagavatam Katha, we may read a lot of the scriptures, but manana is required. So whatever you heard, whatever you hear, you need to put it into practice, or you need to contemplate on what is this verse of Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita, or what Srila Prabhupada is trying to tell us from this purport. So when we start contemplating on that and try to put it into practice, that is how it is going to help us much better. So we'll end here. If any questions, or you all want to add anything or your own realization, you can always share. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you.
You can always share, because we have 10 more minutes, so you can always share of your own realizations. So in that way, it helps others also when you share things. You can always tell about how chanting has helped you, how it has helped you to come out of the material miseries, right? So each one has their own part of realizations. Tomorrow we will discuss in more detail about the holy name, the 3 different stages. Hare Krishna. Yes, Padma Mataji, you can let us know.
Hare Krishna Mataji, you have explained so well. What to explain, Mataji?
Nothing to explain. Just at this point, what you can talk or what you can tell about us, your own realizations.
Yes, Mataji, what I realize is when your chanting is low, the whole day you feel restless and you want to chant better and better. That's one thing I've realized, Mataji. So
Yes, thank you.
therefore, I tried my level best to get up, to wake up during Brahma Muhurta and try to finish my chanting, Mataji. Because I myself have realized, that can be my downfall in bhakti.
So inattentiveness while chanting.
Yes, that also I've noticed, Mataji. So we are improving on that. We are trying our level best to improve. Of course, we are not perfect. Try to avoid talking, avoid the crowd in the house, go to a quiet place and chant.
So that will be possible early in the morning when we chant, right?
Yes, Mataji, because the atmosphere is so quiet.
Mm.
I sit in the balcony and chant.
Mm.
So there's a fresh air also. And then you can concentrate better.
So most of our spiritual practices depends on the chanting of the holy name of the
Chanting
Lord.
Mataji. Yes.
So we need to give more time and more concentrate or more attentiveness.
Priority. Yeah, priority to this.
Priority to chanting, because the day
Second.
begins with the chanting, and when we try to attentively chant, then the whole day goes well. Otherwise, we are struggling to just finish the rounds.
Yes,
So-
Mataji, because when you do it a little late, then you're struggling. You can't finish it.
Yeah.
Become very difficult because then there are other things to do, in the house.
Mm.
So you want to finish in the rush, and you can't concentrate properly.
Yeah. So basically, when we sit for chanting, it is like you're allotting this time for Krishna, only for Krishna and no one else. So when we are chanting the holy name of the Lord is present there, and He will be there for you. Like He will be sitting close to you. We may not realize that, or but Krishna is watching us. Okay, this Mataji or Prabhuji is trying to chant as attentively as possible. So Krishna is always observing us, and when we are taking the name of the Lord is present there. So we cannot, it's like we cannot avoid. It is like if you are thinking, if the thought process, you are trying to chant, but the thought process is going somewhere else, what happens is it is like just avoiding that person. That person is there in front of you, and you are like trying to avoid him or her, and trying to do something else. So it is exactly like that when we are inattentive while chanting.
Yes, true, Mataji.
Yeah. So
and I pray to Krishna every day to help me to chant with full concentration and avoid. Yes.
So basically, to chant better every day in the morning, the thought process goes to the night. So basically, we need to pray in the night and sleep. And before we go to sleep, also we can read some quotes of chanting the holy name, of how to chant attentively. Some short quotes you will get somewhere in the groups also, in the holy name groups also, or some book like the Namamrita. So there are many books written on holy names. So you can just read the few quotes before going to bed, and that helps. Or even just before starting chanting, you can just read those quotes, and then in that prayerful mood, you can start chanting. So that also helps. So anything they want to share?
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, even listening to the classes you were speaking about it, no, Shravanam, that is also really helpful, Mataji, when we are listening to Bhagavatam class, like they are completing 3 verses or 4 verses a day. We are actually listening to the continuity of the story, what is going on. But each day, when they are explaining in detail about each verse, we are getting the quality of the person. We are getting to know many things about the person. Suppose if it was a Bhishma story, we are actually listening to the story. We are listening to Bhishma Stuti and all that when they are explaining. Along with that, we are getting so many characteristics of Bhishma Deva. And we are also understanding how the people were there in that age, how pure they were and all that. This is actually giving us an inspiration for us also to change our, be determined, like all those characters we are getting, Mataji, because such examples are not seen in this present age. Only when we read these books and listen to these classes, we can understand that such quality people were existing in this world, like Bhishma
Yeah.
Deva. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. So we can always imbibe the qualities from the scriptures and from the characters in the past times when we read or hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you, Mataji. Radha Mataji, you are about to speak.
We also get inspired by these characters.
So we desire to imbibe those characters. So when we start desiring to imbibe those qualities, or when we contemplate on how how anyone can be like this, right? So sometimes it is like bewildered for us that how can anyone be like this, right? How can anyone be so truthful, or how can anyone be so strong and going in so much of difficulties or distress, like how the Pandavas were going through all such distress, but still going so
Yes, Mataji.
strong. So such examples and related from Bhagavatam always help us when we are facing such situations. So all these great examples from Bhagavatam, and each devotee's role, how they have played, and what great faith they have, we actually can imbibe those, and we can also get those strong faith by hearing and the Srimad Bhagavatam. So that is how Shravanam and Kirtanam, basically the most basic one, helps us in the practice of Krishna consciousness. Yes, Padma Mataji.
So Mataji, we also learn to be tolerant and to be humble. So many things we learn, Mataji. We inculcate in our lives day to day.
Yeah, so basically in this verse, Rupa Goswami is actually telling us about how holy name is the basic thing, that how it is so much transcendently sweet, like the sugar candy. So we need to understand this at this point. We may be theoretically understanding it, that there is no difference between Krishna and the holy name. We need to work hard on this statement to realize it at one point of time, that yes, the holy name of Krishna and Krishna himself, there is no difference, and they are very, very sweet, right? So this goes on just by practicing Shravanam and Kirtanam. That is how Rupa Goswami is trying to tell us through this verse. And tomorrow we'll discuss more about the holy name. That is a solution which has been given here. So we'll discuss more on that. So thank you very much for sharing your thoughts and realizations. We'll end here.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare Krishna,
Mataji, for
Mataji. Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
the lovely explanation, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna.
Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Vansha kalpatarubhesha kripa sindhubhya
Krishna.
vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo anantokoti vaishnavamriti ki jai.
Prabhupada Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Mataji. Dandu pranam.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.